So those people who do not know how to handle money, they are blocked from transactions. In Islamic law and in secular law as well, rarely practiced, but this is a law, and that is the person who's the safi. He's blocked from transactions because he's not allowed, he doesn't know how to handle money, or she doesn't know how to handle money. And that's why you could have millions of dollars. I mean, so many celebrities, we see their stories, they made $5 million or $10 million, and then they're roaming around in the streets. Basketball players and football players and soccer players and all sorts of people who have millions of dollars. People that happen to be at their time, the wonders, like the people that everybody would look up to. Top musicians and celebrities and performers and basketball and football and all other athletes. But now they're on the floor because they didn't know how to handle their money. And that's the reason for conservatorship, or that's the reason for al-hajar, they call it in fiqh, where the person is blocked from transaction, and the person who's mahjur, he's called the safi. He's the person who's incompetent, and hence he's not allowed to transact on his own behalf. In either case, the guardian who takes up the transactions, he has to be a just person, so he's always working in the best interest of the person he's guarding his wealth for. Okay? طيب. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He continues and He says that, well, there's a lot to still learn from this particular verse. And this is another thing to notice over here, is if a child or a person who's blocked from transactions because of conservatorship, or a crazy person, right, mentally impaired individual, that person, if they admit to any rights, those admissions are null and void. If they say, I owe XYZ to you, it's null and void. It's not even considered. Because they don't have the right Islamically to transact, and Islamically and secularly as well. They're not the ones that should be ideally handling their own wealth. Rather, there should be someone else doing that for them. And then I go back to one of the very key and central points in all of this, and that is that it is mashru'. It is necessary by the Sharia for every single transaction that you get into, that you document it. This is one of the primary rules that we can get from the first half of this verse, that you need to document. Make sure you keep documents of everything. And sometimes, personally, I have documentations dating back to maybe, as early as possible. And sometimes my wife also says to me, what are you going to do to keep this? I said, well, I'm just documenting it. In case something happens in the future, I have a document. I know that this was done on this date and this is what happened. And documenting is very important. And I keep saying, the brother over here, he keeps nodding his head because he understands the importance. If the tax people come back to you 7 years later, because they have the right to do that up to 7 years, and they say that we're going to audit you, if you don't have things documented, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to have a problem. So make sure you document everything. This is what Allah is teaching us in this verse. And then there's another thing, and that is that reading and writing and literacy is considered necessary by Allah Azza wa Jal. It is at least a communal obligation, but of course we have fulfilled that communal obligation as an ummah and as a Canadian society at large with flying colors, bihamdillah. Everybody here pretty much is literate, because literacy is a common commodity among people today. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the tawfiq to practice, to convey. Jazakumullahu khairan for listening. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in.